So another way of manipulating your images is to use a crop tool. Now, we've used the crop tool a little bit so far in creating these kind of half split images here and here, but we're going to go a little bit further with that now to create these some really interesting designs. We've got a bit like the photo montage where you got enlarged. Let's just zoom in on that, where pieces of the face are enlarged, manipulated. I've got one here where I've taken strips. It's as though it's been sliced. We've got one here where it's upside down, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to show you how to do something like that. So we're going to go back to our images here. I'm actually going to just copy and paste that slide, and I'm just going to get rid of some of the manipulations that I've done already. And there we go. Okay, so let's just go back and have a look. First one I'm going to do is this kind of photo montage. So we're going to use this first image here. Let's zoom in a bit so we can see what we're doing. Zoom is the bottom right hand corner, and double click on that crop tool. So I'm going to choose interesting parts of my face, so the eye, nose, that kind of area. So I'm going to crop that down to there. If you just click off the image somewhere on a white space, obviously that's the same size now. If I put it in place, you won't see it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it slightly bigger. Put it in and around the same place, but not quite. Same thing again. This time I'm going to crop to my other eye. White background. Again, if I just keep it the same size, it doesn't quite work. But if I start making it a little bit bigger, you can see I'm starting to get that photo montage look where you've got enlargements, parts of the image overlapping each other. And I mean, I could go on. I'm going to do one more with my head up here. This part. I'm actually going to make that smaller this time. See what happens. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. So that's one technique. Next one I'm going to do is a bit simpler on this image. I'm going to copy and paste it. Again, I'm going to crop down. This time I'm going to crop down to a square, and I'm going to crop down to the center of my face. I'm going to put it in position around about where it should go, and then I'm going to make it larger. So I'm just, you can see all I'm doing is enlarging the center, and I'm kind of centering. It's all to do with composition. I'm centering that. You can nudge it with the arrow keys. I'm pressing the arrow keys on the computer. I'm going to center that in the center of that square, so it's like a concentric square. And that's all I'm going to do. It just makes it look a little bit weird, a little bit strange, but I quite like that. Quite like it. So that's another technique. You could make it smaller, obviously. On this third image here, I'm going to basically use the same thing. I'm going to copy and paste this, and I'm just going to, and this time it's a different color. This time I'm going to make it almost the same size. Again, these are kind of, they're not supposed to be accurate. It's supposed to be a little bit rough. So, but the effect, if I kept it large, it's kind of it's too much to have two kind of effects going on. So I'm just going to have the square in the center there. I could do that with other areas. I like that color in the center, and I like the fact it's not quite in the center. It doesn't need to be. Against this dark background, it really brings that out. Next one, I'm going to do, okay, on this one I'm going to do the corners. So I'm going to borrow one of my other images, which is the orange one, and I'm just going to crop down to the top corner there. Again, you can play around with this as much as you like. There you go. I'm gonna try again. I'm not going to be super accurate. It's not an exact quarter of that square. Doesn't need to be, but I could obviously then just manipulate it. Obviously, if I manipulate it, I thought I'd be able to, but if I manipulate it, I stretch it, it doesn't quite fit anymore. So what I actually need to do is go to crop again, and then you can actually re-crop the image. Okay, so if you double click on that image and go to crop, you can see that the image is still there, and you can adjust the crop. And I'm just going to borrow the bottom right hand corner of this image. Again, I'm going to make it square and put that in place there. So there you go. And obviously you can carry on with that. You could do more. That's fine. Really, really they're experiments. What else did I do? So I mean, you can see how I did this. It's just three rectangles from different images cropped down. This one is the same image, but then flipped over. So that's fairly simple. Copy and paste. I've rotated it. If you hold down the shift button when you rotate, it keeps it at 90 degrees. And then I've cropped it to about halfway. Again, I'm not being too precise. If you wanted to, that's you could do. Yeah, I think that works quite well. Something a bit more detailed, copy and paste this image here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to crop down to create these slices of the image. If I put them back in exactly the same place, it doesn't really work because you can't really see that it's been sliced. If I leave it there, look, you can just about see it, but it's too subtle. So I'm going to move it out of place. Then you can start to see that you really can see that that it has some kind of slice put into it. Now there's a trick here. I'm going to press Alt, Control, and Shift on the keyboard. You see I'll get a little plus sign, so it's Alt, Control, Shift at the same time. I get a little plus sign. If I click on the rectangle and drag it, it makes a copy of it. Double click on it, back to the crop tool, and then what I'm going to do, all I'm going to do is move the crop along. And again, put that back, but don't put it back in exactly the right place. You can see the effect starting to appear now. You could just copy and paste it and just align it again. Double click on it, move the crop over, put that back in place, again slightly off, and you can see the effect that it's starting to have. I think one more might do it. You can spend a bit longer on this than me, so you could do this all the way along the image if you wanted to. Again, there you go. You could do that horizontally as well for similar effect. I quite like that. That's fairly self-explanatory. And then the last one was the cross. I'll do this with the kind of darker blue and the lighter blue image I've got here. Again, all I've done is cropped down to center. I always tend to leave interesting parts of the face in these crops. So again, you can try and get exact if you want, but you don't have to. I'm going to copy and paste that, and all I'm going to do is change the crop to go all the way out there, all the way out there. It might actually be easier to copy and paste the same image again, I will admit, but there you go. I'm trying to get that lined up. Obviously I can zoom in and spend a bit of time trying to get that exact, but you get the effect there. So what all I've done now is added more interest and tried different techniques to add interest to my image, just to make them a bit more exciting. So yeah, so use the crop tool, have a play, see how you get on.